You are what your genes experience. When many people hear this, they think, oh my goodness, here's another one of these genetic determinists who's going to say that it's all the secrets of who we are locked up in our DNA and it just sort of lives through us. And I'm not here to say that at all. In fact, the new discoveries that have occurred over the last half a dozen years or so are showing us the degree to which our genes do not operate on their own, but that we are in a constant interplay between our genes and our environment, and that the environment can change the way in which the genes function. When we say that there are sensitive periods in brain and biological development, what we're saying is these are periods where exuberant growth occurs in brain cell to brain cell connections as a result, largely, of the quality of environmental experience that you get during that period of time. So sensitivity means sensitivity to the environments in which you grow up, live, and learn. What happens in the early years continues to influence things, irrespective of experience that comes thereafter. It doesn't mean that what happens in the early years is the only thing that matters. I'm not here to say that identities are formed by age 5 and that nothing else can matter. But I am here to say that we have direct evidence that these early developmental competencies, the social, emotional, the language and cognitive, and the physical, have an enduring influence, and therefore ought to have an enduring influence on our identities as well. Why does this matter? Well, early child development influences health, well-being, learning, and behavior across the balance of the life course. And we're currently in a situation in British Columbia where approximately 30% of the children reach school age without the physical or the social, emotional, or the language and cognitive development that they really need to be able to operate effectively thereafter. And we have reason to believe that at least 2/3 of this vulnerability in the children's development is avoidable if we provided better environments of stimulation, support, nurturance, and opportunities for participation for young children. So the research that we do tries to take those broad ideas and break it down into things that we can understand and do something about, and also to transform our understandings about the things that influence early child development so that we can stimulate conversation across society.
In general, how are children in British Columbia doing? Because you've been doing these measurements for 10 years. How are we doing in relation to, I don't know, what do we relate to, the rest of Canada, the rest of the world? Because EDI is done in a lot of places, right?
Yeah, well, we have EDI data now in 15 countries. 80% of Canada has been covered by population, nearly 100% of Australia. The comparisons I can make the best are in Canada. And basically, we're doing moderately poorly within the Canadian frame. So the vulnerability rates here are among the highest in the country. And they've been getting slightly worse as time's been going on over the last 10 years, is what we've seen. Not so much for the language and cognitive scales, but more for the physical, social, emotional scales.
Why?
Excellent question. Do I know the answer exactly? Generally speaking, it seems as though that what's been happening is that the socioeconomic pressures on families are trumping the things that are happening closer to home. That is to say, and this is true across the country, but it's very much true in BC and Vancouver, where housing prices are what they are, that the amount of time and energy that families have to put into the labor market to maintain a given socioeconomic level has been going up, right? So time poverty is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. Between 1996 and 2006, you know, the average family had to put 300 hours per year more into the labor market to maintain a given socioeconomic level than they did 10 years earlier. And it seems that one way or another, those things are trumping the, you know, shall we say, the modest investment kind of things that we've been doing up until now, such as full-day kindergarten or say Strong Start programs, which isn't to say that those programs aren't effective, but that there's something very large that's happening to family life in our province, and so far we haven't mounted the resources to counter that.